Sammy, Jaye, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Carlos. It's so great to be here.
Well, I'm really excited about this. I love the segment that we're going to do all about Gen Z and some kind of young change makers. But before we get into that, I want to get into you a little bit. What made you get into media? How did that happen?
I kind of fell into it by accident.
Guys, it's Sammy Jaye with Radio Disney and from the set of American Idol, New York Fashion Week 2019. Right now, I am at BeautyCon, New York. I am at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. I am back in New York City, here at the US Open. Now, I love being on a red carpet, but what in the world am I doing at the ESPYs?
I have to introduce you, if you haven't met, to Sammy Jaye.
I missed you. I didn't know it was going to be you. This is so surprise! Surprise!
This amazing young woman named Sammy Jaye. She is the youngest person that has a podcast on iHeartRadio.
At the end of 7th grade, I met someone at iHeart who was like, you know what? I really like your personality. What if we did an interview from a 13-year-old's perspective and you get to interview a musical artist? And me being 13, I'm like, great, let's do that. I didn't really think anything would come from it, but a few weeks later, to my surprise, we got an email saying, hey, there's an up-and-coming artist named Jordan Fisher.
You like to mess with me. Sending all them pictures, you like to mess with me.
He's about to release his first single of an EP. Would you want to do an interview with him for Z100? And I was like, yes. I did a few interviews for iHeart throughout that summer. I covered the New York City Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Sammy Jaye here, and I'm going to be covering the Thanksgiving Day Parade.
And then from there on, I was an employee of Radio Disney for 4 years, covering their East Coast digital and video content. And I did so many things, from backstage at Broadway to Hamilton. And then my sophomore year of high school, my anxiety got really bad because just being a high school girl can be really hard, you know, and I started listening to podcasts as a form of distraction, and I couldn't really relate to anything I was listening to, and I wanted to hear stuff from people that I looked up to and people breaking stigmas and talking about what were actually going on while just having an honest conversation. And I was like, let me try and create that. So I did research on the marketplace. I taught myself a deck. I looked at videos, how to pitch. I pitched a pilot, and we're at the end of our season 2 of the podcast.
Sammy, talk to me a little bit about Gen Z and how you see it as someone who is Gen Z, and what would you love to be true about Gen Z's impact over the next decade?
I think a lot of people from my generation for the longest time didn't take us seriously, and I think until Parkland happened,
since the time that I came out here, it has been 6 minutes and 20 seconds. The shooter has ceased shooting and will soon abandon his rifle, blend in with the students as they escape, and walk free for an hour before arrest. Fight for your lives before it's someone else's job.
That's when the media started to actually put the spotlight on these kids, being like, hey, we've experienced this, not just politicians who have never experienced this to the magnitude. We know what this is like. This happened on social media, and people were like, oh my goodness, they actually have something useful to say to the conversation. I think people don't realize, for people 25 and down, we've experienced a global pandemic, an attempt to overthrow the government, multiple school shootings, social media. We've experienced a lot, and having dealt with that, we have something to say. I think Gen Z holds so much power because we know how to speak our mind now. We know how to utilize social media, and we know that when we come together in strong numbers, we can show up and make a difference. And I think we showed that in this past election.
I was having a conversation with Phineas, the musician and producer.
Yeah, he was on.
He said, you know, Carlos, your generation is used to asking for permission. Like, can I do this, that? And he said, my generation's just used to just uploading things and just going for it.
I think asking for permission, you have to wait on other people to determine your own success. But then when you are in charge of your own fate, then you can control that narrative.
Sammy, this is gonna be really good. I'm so excited that you're doing this with us. Please keep bringing really interesting people. And I think that there is such magic in introducing and discovering and getting to know people on their way up. So I'm looking forward to some of your choices.
I'm excited to show you some awesome new people.
Hey, tune into the Carlos Watson Show. It's like no other. You're going to enjoy it every weekday on YouTube.